Hi, welcome to the video. So this is the final observation and analysation of the human race, their actions, behaviour, language used by the people themselves. The way I see it and the way I've portrayed it in the past and still now is basically the ones in power, or quite a few of the ones in power, are corrupt, abuse their positions because they've got the power, they've got the money, they can get away with it. But then the general public are also part of the problem, the disease, the parasite, because they fund it, fund cycles such as gaming, corrupt companies, putting money in and they keep going along with it, voting certain do-gooders and like liberals in power and stuff, pushing that cycle, do-gooders, general public, pushing more supposedly equality and freedom, but it's the complete opposite. It's just basically focused and concentrated on LGBT and coloureds, basically. That's all it's pushed on. White guilt is displayed. Basically, the white race is dying out. Now, that would instantly make me a neo-Nazi just for calling that, I'm saying it that way. So basically, I'm fucked, aren't I? You know, we've got to be real here. You know, if I was to sum up what everybody or quite a few people would call me, you know, if you compiled it all together by the general public, what I would be called is a schizo-socio-psychopath who's a homicidal, regicidal, genocidal, infanticidal, xenophobic, Islamophobic, racist, sexist person. Quite a lot, and there's probably a lot more things they could call me. Why? Well, it's just because I tell the truth and they don't like it, but they're so brainwashed. The biggest summary is most of the human, well, all of the human race is indoctrinated in some way through primary interaction with the way they're brought up in the family, and then secondary, like education. So basically, the time when humans are somewhat innocent is when they are a child slash baby slash child. And then after that, they're force-fed false information, false hope, lots of bullshit. They're brainwashed, indoctrinated. I technically went through that as well, but I resisted because mentally I was somewhat stronger. I did not fall under them. You know, linking it on with all the mental stuff, to be honest, I would say mental illness is basically being exploited in a way that it can be used to label some perfectly normal human being who hasn't got issues, but because they're saying stuff that sounds crazy, but it's true, they can be labelled as that. Then the rest of the human race, general public, will see that person and think, do you know what, the person's crazy, they've got schizophrenia, they've got depression, whatever, so why listen to them? Yeah, that person's telling the truth, so they'll be drugged up to shut up. But if I say that to somebody, mention the unpopular opinion, nobody will agree with it. You know, you got the other group of people that relate and agree, but they're just liars and deadweight and wasted time, basically. The reality is, I could say 80% of the human race is a joke. It's a parasite, disease, whatever. Mentally, physically, humans screw one another over, but no one will admit that. Blame social media for problems, causing suicide, depression, whatever, cyberbullying. Yet the whole cause is human interaction virtually. You know, the whole concept of social media was developed by human beings themselves, so they're responsible. So not the actual concept, it's the people that created it that have caused the problem, and everybody that uses the devices and stuff. You know, yeah, all these mass shootings as well. I don't think they would really happen as frequently if people didn't bully, you know. Stop bullying people, stop messing with people, and then you won't get retaliation. It's simple as that, but people can't get it through the thick heads. It's ridiculous. You're told, encouraged by positive people to do this, to do that, to say this, to act like this, but then you get criticised by them because you're not doing what they want you to be. They will say, do what you want, but it translates to do what you want as long as it meets my guideline. That's it. Another big summary is linking back to people wearing one another down mentally. The way I see it is with mental health. There seems to be awfully a lot of people with mental issues all of a sudden. There's a lot of people saying, oh, I'm so depressed, oh, I'm so depressed, I'm so negative. Oh, I think that's just a buzzword just to be used, but they don't actually have any issues. The way I see it is there'll be some amount of people that do have illnesses, that have inherited it, who have been born with it, whatever, along that line, and then the rest of people have actually developed it through interaction with one another, screwing one another over mentally, wearing each other down, people showing off, people trying to compete against one another. Then it makes the other person feel depressed because, oh, they're not as good, and then it leads to them doing something bad to themselves or whatever, you know. Just people doing it to one another. The cycle will continue because people aren't stopping. You know, I could go into even more depth, but basically summing it up is the human race, majority of it, are physically and mentally causing each other issues. So quite a lot of mental health is actually created by living on this earth. You can be born on this earth perfectly fine, but then you are attacked in all ways, you're force-fed stuff, you've pressured whatever, all that bullshit, and then you're mentally worn down. So it's environmental / human interaction which causes majority of the mental health. You know, you could say, okay then, all people from Africa are depressed because, and they've all got mental illnesses because they live in poverty. Yeah, they don't seem depressed either. Well, it's probably because they're not educated. Oh, but then if they're not educated about illnesses, but yet they still seem to be fully functional and emotionally stable, then it would imply that being taught about illnesses is actually either indoctrinating people into believing that they've got mental illnesses themselves, even though they are perfectly fine, and then they convince themselves by themselves that they do have issues. I think it's one big cycle. I think there's more to it. A lot of people are very naive, even to their grave. A lot of people are brainwashed from a young age, so that if you did try giving a different opinion, they would not accept it no matter how hard you tried. That is why I do not have many conversations with people these days, because what's the point? No matter what I say, I will be wrong. Maybe even if I had evidence to probably say you're wrong, because just won't accept it. Video games, films, something else. Video games and films, they actually demonstrate real life actions when people play games, whether they help people in game or not. Just all links in. Millennials, can't stand them. Quite a few of them disrespectful, demanding, expect a lot, even ridicule people. Just complete mess. How people say, oh, not everyone's like that. No, I don't want to hear that bullshit. I don't want to hear that false positive thing. Not all people are bad, you know. What's next? 90% of the world's population are good people and only 10% are bad. No, I think it's the other way around, to be honest. There's more bad than good. And people can say whatever they want, yeah, but the reality is there does not have to be badness or as much, but people choose. Hypocrites and liars, they don't have to exist, but people choose to be them. The individuals that do not talk to anybody can't really be a liar because they're not got anything to say to anyone, or really a hypocrite either. They don't really do much themselves. Mental health, like I said, few people inherit it, born with it, but then quite a lot of other people develop it because they scream one another over. It's just one big mess. A lot of corruption, YouTubers, famous people, celebrities, social media influencers, they're all corrupt, or quite a few of them are corrupt. They all look nice, they look like role models, but there's a lot more darkness to it. They're either supporting corruptness, they're doing cheap, sly tactics to get views, whatever. They're either saying, don't do this, but they're actually doing the complete opposite, which demonstrates they're a hypocrite. You know, you could just go on. YouTubers, streamers exploiting their own appearance like a stripper just to get more money. Ridiculous. Or the whole like gender thing. How they go on about saying women can stare at men, women can go into a male toilet for no reason, women can stare in a male's toilet, women can hit a man. But if a man was to stare at a woman, a man is classed as a pervert. If a man was to walk into a women's toilet, they'd probably be arrested for being a pervert. If a man was to lay hands on a woman, he'd be arrested. it's one-sided, it's double standards. Double standards with racism, double standards with gender, and so on. And when I go on about racism, it's basically, it seems to be coloured people can call white people whatever they want and get away with it, but then if a white person was to use the word such as the N-word, which I'm not going to say, that basically means everybody goes into outrage. I can't stand quite a few of the males these days because quite a few of them seem to act either like very feminine / defensive feminist type, or the display white guilt. Now, quite a few people I've seen, liberals, do-gooders, whatever, it seems to be youngish people, students, millennials, that type, white people that displaying white guilt, and quite a few females as well, maybe because they're more emotionally vulnerable to believe in all sorts. I don't know, that'll probably classify me as a sexist now. I think it's just one big joke. Now, I don't know if I said it before because it's hard to summarise all this, but basically all these points I've mentioned and all the videos I've done in the past of everything, trying to sum it all up, how people would sum me up if I was to combine everything what people would call me or may have called me already, is basically some kind of person that is a schizo, socio, psychopath who's a homicidal, regicidal, genocidal, infanticidal, regicidal, racist, homophobic, sexist, Islamophobic, xenophobic and all that. I probably mentioned it before, I can't remember to be honest, but it is a mess. The final summary, final bullet point I would say, in terms of ending all the videos of all videos I've done in terms of all this, is basically humans interact with one another, humans cause issues with one another, humans screw one another over, humans use one another, humans hurt one another, humans mentally wear people down, each other, humans bully each other, endless cycle because they carry on doing it. Humans fund corruptness, general public aren't innocent, people in power aren't innocent, role models of celebrities, YouTubers and streamers aren't innocent either, they're corrupt as well. Generalisation is key because it's time effective, reduces time, and it can be accurate. Now, all these things I come up with and say it's not made up, it's through seeing patterns and it's also through studying psychology, sociology and all that, but I'm not just forcing that down, you know, like how you get all the liberals and stuff that think they know it all and because they've learned it and then they start using all these key big words because they want to look tough or look hard. No. You know, the way I say it, you can go through these forms of education, learning, studying, whatever, you learn all these big fancy words which basically translate to a simple sentence of whatever, you know. Here's one for you. To treat a phobia, systematic desensitization, which is a slow process or so of easing that person through that fear and making them not fear that thing. That basically what it translates to. So like 2-word things, translates to a sentence, that's what I mean. Overall though, the way I say it, video games and films are important and they do mean so because what they do demonstrate is the type of people that play the games, and it actually reveals their gameplay, strategical planning and actions demonstrate their actual real life personality and their actions. And secondly, a key thing I've noticed is that certain games and films actually demonstrate some kind of example message for the future in which AI could take over and that white genocide could happen. Unfortunately, I haven't done a game based on that really, I don't think. So all these people, you know, make jokes or something, or you say, oh, how ridiculous the world is, or how silly it is, and we all laugh. It's not funny when you're living it every day, every second. You see films, you see video games which show something, and everyone's like, whoa, this looks cool, whoa. Yeah, you're still laughing when you are facing that in the future, potentially, or your kids are facing it in the future. You know, the way I say it is the only way it can all stop is either some disease or some man-made disease wipes out the human race, or everybody stops reproducing just like that, but that's not going to happen because people are indoctrinated, must reproduce, must continue, must work, must do this. Robotic, autopilot, that's what it is. People are obliged to do certain things and use all the excuses. Oh, well, it's society, it's changed, it's moved on. Oh, the liberals or whatever. It's a complete mess, basically. I don't know if I've missed anything out because there's so much to bring up on. There's so many key bullet points. You know, the hypocrites, the liars, the deadweight people that agree with you but they're actually lying or playing mind games on you to just mess around. Dead baggage, that's basically what it is. I mentioned celebrities, role models, or corrupt and all that. Films, games, demonstrating certain events or predicting certain things in the future. Other things such as making life easier, less difficult. It's made things overcomplicated now through technology or through just notices and stuff, make it seem overcomplicated. The general public that think they seem to be the king of everything. Get out my way, my time's more important than yours, blah blah. People just scream on another over, you know, car crashes, they don't have to happen. People drive slowly or safely. So people cause it to one another, car crashes. Acid attacks doesn't have to happen, but it does because of the human race. Knife crime, which is a complete joke. All these people picking up knives, not necessary. Gun crime, doesn't have to happen. Mass shootings in schools simply wouldn't happen as much if it wasn't for bullying. So congratulate all the bullies for causing a mass shooting at one of your schools. That's basically the way it sums up. Quite a few supposedly terror attacks. They don't have to happen, but they're an inside job. And the families, victims, dead ones have all been completely fucked from behind and they don't even know it themselves. They think it's another evil force, but it's actually the people within that they're looking up to or supporting that are causing the issues. I think that basically sums it all up now. The world is fucked, the human race has caused that, and it will only get worse as time goes on. If I bring it up, mention an unpopular opinion, everybody will, or quite a few people will go berserk, and it will just go on and on. So, oh yeah, and this is the final thing. The biggest thing is there's a lot of suicide prevention. A lot of people trying to stop others from doing it, trying to save them. Don't do it, don't do it. But if you've got some other individual elsewhere that ends up going on and complaining, saying this, that, oh, this is messed up, this is not good, who's very negative, all these other people, the more you push, the more you see them for what they are, they'll end up saying like, do you know what, if you're going to keep on complaining, why are you here? Die. Kill yourself. That's what they will say. But doesn't that contradict what they're supposedly supporting in the first place, or would be? You know, all these people saying, oh, we need to prevent suicide, but at the same time they would tell someone to kill themselves if they're too negative. And you get all these other positive people that say, don't surround yourself full of negative people, stay away from them. Oh, so you stay away from people with mental illnesses now. You know, it's not twisting lines, it's just picking up on the language and the way people use it. It's just a complete mess. So all this supposedly suicide prevention is basically hypocritical, because at the same time as trying to prevent people from killing themselves, you're telling people to kill themselves if they're too negative or they don't like the way the world works, or it is, or the way it is. And on a small scale, on an extreme scale, the way I have done things is use extreme examples. And why? Well, you push it to the extreme, the worst case scenario, and you see how people react then. It can lead to them contradicting themselves, being hypocrites, whatever, or it can demonstrate double standards. Is there anything else more to say? I don't really think so. Yeah, I guess the only other thing would be is there's a lot of people that use shields or some kind of defense mechanism, or they want to rule everything. So I'll give a list. Cars. People will hide behind cars and think they own the road. I am the best. I control everything. Get out of my way or I will kill you or hit you with my car. It's like a little safety shield for them. Knives. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, actually, you know what? You get like some form of knife. Any knife, because any object itself, this can be used as as an item to hurt someone. This can be, whatever. What I'm trying to say is, a knife, a gun, people will hide behind because they can't do face-to-face, fist-to-fist. They can't even do a one-on-one fight because all these gangs and chavs have to hide with a group or jump you from behind. The cowards. Dogs, people will have certain aggressive dogs to hide behind them, so they feel all powerful and can make the other person vulnerable. Pathetic. Computer screen, PC, people hide behind that. Joke. Dark web, deep web, a lot of stuff goes on there, a lot of bad stuff. I see it as an ocean. The deeper you go, the worse stuff that lays down there. But who knows? Those so-called red rooms, you know, another demonstration. You see the horror film Hostel. Well, Hostel is basically like the dark web in terms of the red rooms, a live torture thing. Then you can add it on, branch it off. You could be paying to watch it. You never know, it could actually be a celebrity you look up to, secretly paying someone to have a screwdriver shoved in a child's eye. You know, you've got to use these nasty, dark but real examples to get into people's minds. You know, there is gory websites out there and there's a lot of dark stuff, but sometimes you see some of it and then you know what other countries are like, the way people treat others, the amount of crime and extremity and everything. Not fully accurate always, but you get an idea. And there's a lot of people that will exploit gory videos, murder and everything. They may even watch like a live stream if they were that desperate, but you see a lot of YouTubers, I've seen it, and I've even seen like younger people, a reaction video of someone getting their head caved in with a hammer, choking on their own blood, dying slowly. It's not good. And what do the reactors do? They either laugh or demonstrate fake crocodile tears. Oh, if I was there, I would have prevented it. I would have stopped it. Yeah, like you would with school shooters. Oh, if I was around at the time, I would have been nice to them. Yeah, you would have done. No, you probably would have been at the time in the crowd, joining on with the bullies. You know, it's just a complete mess. I don't know what the longest video I've actually done before. 50 minutes maybe? I don't know. I don't know how long this video is itself. I have to do a few cuts and changes. But yeah, so you got the dark web, the dark net, the normal internet. I think linking it back onto the whole gender thing, another kind of like messed up thing is you've got a certain gender, basically females, younger ones, teens, kids, who are purposely acting older. That is by wearing certain clothing, certain makeup, but basically what that is, it's lighting and it's deceiving. Are they doing it as a trick to get older males to be labelled as paedophiles and then for them to have their lives ruined and jailed away? You know, obviously there will be paedophiles out there and they're bad, but what happens if you've got an innocent male who believes someone looks older but they're not? You know, it's really messed up. The way I classify myself at the end of the day is I'm not a good person, I'm not a bad person, and basically what that translates to is the fact is that I will not go out of my way to do good, but I will not go out of my way to cause harm to anybody, verbally, physically, whatever. Because the facts are, I have no criminal record, I've never stolen anything, I do not take drugs, I do not take alcohol, I'm not addicted to anything, and so on. There's a lot of people that have done that stuff. So I think that's it for now because I can't really think of anything else to say. So yeah, that's the final conclusion, demonstrating hypocrites, liars, two-faced people, the human race being part of the problem of the way the world is. So that's it.